worry about it right now. It's nothing to worry about, and you can't take the franchise away from people just because they happen to live in Montgomery County, Maryland, or in Fairfax, Virginia. I mean, that's the nuttiest thing I've ever heard. And Eleanor Holmes Norton can't vote.
Unemployment
I don't think they ought to even have a congressional seat from Washington, D.C., but she cannot vote. Thank you very much for the call. We do appreciate it. And it is time to take a break. And when we come back, we are going to WRKO in Boston, Massachusetts, and have a chat with Paul.
It is
Mark Levin.
And would be supportive for equities. It's a Newsday trade. If you know the news, you have the trade. Now, this market has been run down into.
And my name is Tom Marr. Betsy McCoy coming up after the half hour. And one of my emailers has just sent me an email. It won't take long. I'll give an answer to this emailer.
And you're going to fill at the
edge.
The
emailer's name is not on here, so I'll just say Sonic.
Based on the news. So
why don't we hear more about the breaking news?
Got a real strong feeling about the news,
and how she was a kingpin in the IRS scandal. I've read this in the Daily Caller. Lois Lerner and Shaheen were pals for 2 days now. I haven't heard a thing. The news broke the day before the election. Well, the reason you're not hearing about it is because she is a liberal Democrat. And at the National Baroque Company, formerly known as NBC News, at CBS and ABC, that's just the kind of thing they like to get their Washington correspondents to walk out on. But let me tell you, the hearings will continue. The House Oversight Committee will continue, more powerful than ever before. And Darrell Issa just might have the senator on, and she may have some explaining to do. We hope that she does have some explaining to do when she comes back. Right now, we are headed for Pomona, California, and to Mike. Mike, how are you?
Hey, Tom, thanks for having me on. You had mentioned Mia Love in about an hour ago, or maybe a little less than an hour ago. She's a rising star in the Republican Party, particularly on the left coast, although Utah isn't radically left like where I'm from in California.
If it weren't for the news, we'd be looking for a place to sell it.
You had made a comment that she would not be qualified after 2 years, and I agree with that. I don't think anybody should be ushered into the presidency with only 2 years of service, particularly on the national level. But correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that what Barack Obama had, or at least only 2 years when he started running for president?
Well, you're exactly right, and that proves why Mia Love may someday be very much involved at a much higher level than a member of Congress. And I really think is on the ladder up. But she's not about to run, and Obama did, and his handlers. And by the way, I think one of his handlers behind the scenes happens to be George Soros. They might want to deny that till the cows come home and call me some kind of a right-wing radical individual. I don't say a lot, but I think that that's the kind of person he would look to.
Correct on profit-taking.
I don't think Mia Love is even thinking about running for president. We made that mistake with Obama. A lot of people are still unwilling to admit that it was even a mistake.
Fails to extend and take out that high.
And all right. See it now in
this requires a nimbleness. Sometimes.
Okay, thank you very much, Mike. We appreciate it. As we head to McKinney, Texas, WBAP, one of America's great radio stations, and to Chris. Chris, you're up.
The
hey, Tom,
entry point,
I just want to say, brother,
when you look
are
at that
great
first bar.
Thank you very much.
If I could point a phrase from Sean Hannity there. But anyway, I just want to say that I'm ecstatic about the...
Actually, that phrase began, and Sean would be the first to tell you, with Bill Cunningham out in Cincinnati. That's where Sean got it, and that's where you got it, and I use it too, and I hear Sean use it a lot, and every time he says it, kind of gives me a little chill.
Well, I called
Michael Savage that on the Savage Nation the other day. He cut me off and yelled at me on the phone. I said, look, he goes, because I said, Dr. Savage from Dr. Handy, he goes, he's not a doctor. I work hard for what I got. I said, look, man, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to step on your toes, okay?
You know, he's on my team, too, and I give my lineup every day, who's on our station. I don't mention him. because I think the guy is, and I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying it right here.
What you'll see is that the market will move.
Well, anyway, I do agree with Savage. He's got a lot of good points, and I think he sees a lot of things like the great one does that's coming down the pipe. But anyway, getting to what I wanted to talk about.
This high is not taken out.
Boy, there's no love lost between those two.
And it'll be inside this number.
Yeah. Well, Tom, listen, I listen to you and Inga Barks, and I like both of you. You're principled conservatives, and I think Mark has top-quality talent on his show. He wouldn't have anybody sitting in the bunker that wasn't top quality. So, but anyway, just wanted to throw that out there.
Thank you, Chris.
So that would be the situation.
I wanted to comment on the Republican majority. I can't say I'm a Mitch McConnell fan. I don't coo and go gaga over the guy.
If you are profitable, if you do have a bottom
but I will say this, I'm
good.
glad we got the majority, and now it's time for the Republicans to, basically get a backbone and do what they said they're going to do, which is hold Obama's feet to the fire and make sure that he doesn't pass any rogue legislation. However, I wanted to throw something out here.
Very quickly, because we've got to take a break very shortly.
Okay. First of all, let me ask your opinion, Tom. You've been in this business a long time. Even though we have the majority, we have a super majority in the House and now a slim majority in the Senate, do you think Obama's going to whip his little magic fairy executive order fiat pen out there and just run roughshod because the guy's a straight-up tyrant? Do you think he's going to do that?
Well, I don't think he is, because he's already made things rough enough for Democrat. He was the issue in this campaign. His policies were on the ballot. And the Democrats got their rear ends handed to him. And I think that he will be told by members of his own party, give it a rest.
Usually 1 point from wherever, like in this
don't
case,
be going out and breaking the law.
And
it's got to be members of his own party, Chris, that tell him. And I think, indeed, they are going to let him know.
141.18.
Yeah.
They have to.
Anyway, Tom, getting back, I am ecstatic that we have the majority, and now hopefully play it smart and do smart
reality
things
of trading
and try to adhere to conservative principles, because conservatism works, brother. You know that.
Of course it works, for goodness sakes. It works a hell of a lot better than the alternative, liberalism.
And 29 to 01.
Any rhino is just somebody. Mark is not
one
all happy with
where
rhinos.
He
doesn't mind the ones in the jungle out there in Africa, but he certainly doesn't like them in the Senate or in the House, and I'm not too wild about them either. But no, I wish we had fewer rhinos and more conservatives, and that may be on the way too. Thanks for the call. We do appreciate it. Break time is coming up, and we'll be back with Dr. Betsy McCoy.
37 was number 2. That morning when we started out, we said if we broke support, we'd go down to 30 to 32. I thought about that last night's write-up, but I saw usually we have a do-nothing market at night, but we did make it down. This market can move 15 to 20 minutes. So we have to,
Mark Levin,
once again,
the George S. Patton,
so right now,
Radio.
Is 45,
Call them at
47.
877-381-3811. That's 877-381-3811.
By the way of introduction of my next guest, who needs no introduction whatsoever on Obamacare. And I will be letting her know what Pat Roberts is probably, who ran, by the way, on the platform of repeal, but we've heard from a good source tonight, and it's already up on Mark Levin's Facebook. He's not talking about changing it. But here, before we introduce Betsy, an email. And folks, this is just the beginning. Thanks for taking time to read my message, Tom. We're small business owners, 9 employees, processing our insurance renewal tonight as we listen. We're forced to offer less coverage, higher deductibles.
The euro is up
$1,000 for the individual, $2,000 for the family, compared to what it used to be, $215 and $500.
You'd expect the euro
higher
to
maximum
be
out of pocket, $5,000 for the single, $10,000 for the family. Several of our younger employees' premiums went up 129%. We would like to expand to 2 new locations, but we can't afford to do it.
But
the insurance, it is used to attract quality employees. Betsy, welcome again to the Mark Levin Show with Tom Marr sitting in, and this gentleman, Len, tonight. This is just the beginning, isn't it?
It opened
But the fact is that freedom-loving Americans went to the polls on Tuesday and they trounced Obamacare. Obamacare was on the ballot, and they made it clear the American public is repudiating it for the very reasons you just mentioned, and many more. We have to get rid of that job-killing employer mandate, that freedom-killing individual mandate. We have to get rid of this IPAB board that's going to ration care to seniors. And how about getting rid of the
on the buy side yesterday we had
insurance company bailout?
75
or how about
minus, and we have a low of 71,
subsidies
so
for members of Congress? They're supposed to be in the same plans as everyone else, but the president weaseled a special corrupt deal for them that nobody else earning $176,000 a year base pay would ever get, right? So that's a list of some of the things we have to get rid of, plus the controls on our doctors.
Absolutely, and let me tell you, hospitalinfection.org. We're not probably going to have time to get to Ebola tonight. We may touch on it for just a moment.
Last night, Russia
you want to reach Betsy and find out, keep track of hospitalinfection.org. That is very important right now. But we were very, very disappointed as we went on the air tonight to hear that Pat Roberts, who was elected by the skin of his chinny chin chin, who during the campaign was for repeal of Obamacare, and now is talking about fixing it. It is beyond being fixed. Even if they do it piece by piece now, they got to repeal, get rid of.
That's right. The members of Congress who are saying, let's fix this law within the framework of the law, they're saying that, Tom, because they haven't read this law. If they had, they know it's corrupt to the core. But John Boehner actually did a good job this afternoon.
He did, I thought.
Yes, putting the president in his place and warning this president that he better stop trying to make law by himself. In this country, the rule of law is king, not Mr. Obama.
By the way, Mitch McConnell did the same thing yesterday, and I heard the tape of it today, and I went back and made sure I heard it again. If they do this, if he tries this, we have actually got a constitutional crisis on our hands. Absolutely.
There's no question about it. So I'm confident that with this very strong majority
is going to retest
in the House, with this new Republican majority in the Senate, and with a clear mandate. It's never been clearer, Tom. A clear mandate from the American people that we want to get rid of Obamacare. They will deliver a series of bills to the president's desk to strip this law of its worst parts. Let's also get rid of the navigators, for example. And then in 2017, we will get rid of Obamacare.
So we have pretty good support in the 7750 area. We were hoping to buy against 77
called Obamacare as long as we're stuck with Obama. But we should at least repeal the worst parts of it and then go for broke and get rid of the whole thing.
Now, listeners, I want to call to your attention something that Betsy mentioned earlier about the insurance companies. The insurance companies, and she knows the chapter and verse, if she probably has that bill somewhere around 2,700 pages, that is going to reimburse the insurance companies 80% of any of their losses. Not you, not what you're going to have to go into your pocket for, but they will get reimbursed to the tune of 80%.
It is a market where one headline, the hint of war,
and we also have to get rid of Section 3001, which awards bonus points to the hospitals that spend the least per senior. Now imagine this. We all know that cuts to Medicare pay for most of this law, more than tax hikes even. Seniors bear the brunt.
$700 billion.
Writing a provision into the law that rewards hospitals for being the lowest spenders per senior, not per patient, just per senior.
And let me say, listeners, when we're talking about Medicare taking a hit, what the Democrats, and for those of you who run that and you're on Medicare or about to be on it, how you could have ever voted Democrat, I don't know. They cut $744 billion out of your health insurance, and it is going to start taking effect very soon.
We already see the results, Tom. They're laying off nurses, spreading their nursing care much thinner. And if you go into the hospital for something like a hip replacement or a knee replacement, they don't want to give you a prescription for physical therapy afterwards because they won't be the lowest spender anymore if they do a thing like that. So seniors are already really feeling the pain because of these cuts under Obamacare. And if you're in a Medicare Advantage plan, you're having a hard time even holding on to your doctor.
And Medicare Advantage is,
unless you're that
I think, on the way out.
And
as you pointed out in your column today, Mitch McConnell was helped in Kentucky, in his state. 14,000, that's a significant number. 14,000 Kentuckians got their cancellations.
That's right. Now, I do want to call everyone's attention to something else.
This market
because
is higher.
The president is trying to get away with a real scam. He has announced that he wants this Congress to appropriate $6.2 billion for Ebola.
Japanese pension fund, where they actually do own
$6.2 billion. That is more than we spend on all the cancer research, cancer, the disease that kills 1 out of 4 Americans. It's more than our entire foreign aid package for Israel. And you know that a lot of that money, even the New York Times has called attention to the fact that money being sent to these West African nations where corrupt governments,
unbelievably corrupt.
Right. It doesn't actually make it to the people who need it.
Never.
$6.2 billion.
And you mentioned the $6 billion. The aid to Israel is about half that.
That's right.
And here we are with $6 billion unaccounted for. And this is something else that Congress can put its thumb down on. And the other thing is, where we ought to have 4,000 troops is on our own border, but sending them into, and now we learned today that uniformed troops are going to be working with Ebola patients. This is insane.
Let me make another point about this, because he's getting away with so much here. Deliberately or not, the World Health Organization and the White House have invited the crisis inside the United States. This isn't an act of nature, Tom. Nature confined all 20 previous outbreaks of Ebola to the African continent. Now, by insisting that borders remain open and air traffic continue, the World Health Organization and the White House are encouraging the spread of this disease to other continents, to Europe, to the United States, to Australia. They are giving it wings, not natural wings, airplane wings.
This number.
Yeah, and he stopped flights to Israel in a heartbeat.
But it is a crime against humanity to willingly allow a disease for which we have no vaccine and no cure to invade parts of the world it has never reached by nature.
So then you are not surprised, and again, the Republicans got to get on this right away, if you ask me, and they ran on repeal. They didn't run on fixing. They ran on repeal. You're not surprised that in New York City alone, there's this one very irresponsible doctor, but the number of people under active monitoring for Ebola symptoms in a couple of days went from 117, Betsy, to 357.
You know, just put into the uncertainty of